Welcome everyone to this new episode of Game On, a series of conversations started by G2G.News, where we try to engage with various stakeholders in the gaming industry. Today we have with us a very special guest, author, economist, and casino entrepreneur, Mr. Rakesh Wadhwa. Mr. Wadhwa is the winner of the Bastia Prize for Free Market Economics. He is an author of several books, including a novel called The Deal Maker, and he has written several books on the casino industry as well as free market economics, which is his passion really. He has run casinos in various countries across continents in Asia and Africa, more specifically in India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and so on. So welcome, Mr. Wadhwa. It is great to have you on Game On.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You've been associated with the casino industry since the last several decades. So first up, if you could, how your experience has been operating in different jurisdictions across continents and probably which has been your most favorite destination?
My most favorite destination. I never had any time to enjoy the destinations I was in, concentrating on the business, on the staff, and the political situation at the same time. And I've experienced in various countries regime change, problems with the government, including takeovers, including revolutions, including increases in tax, which made it unbearable in certain jurisdictions. I won't go into details of what country did what, but we have experienced almost everything. We have experienced the best of human nature and the worst of it. And I've experienced an abundance of anti-India sentiments in neighboring countries where I've done business. That is instigated by the politicians over there for their own advantage. Whoever can create the biggest fear and whoever can say that they can stand up to their big neighbor, which is India, tends to get the votes. We have experienced it all. The government shutting us down for no reasons, the government's engineering a takeover through the unions and taken over by the unions to no effect. It all closed, but things have happened in various countries. Revolutions have happened, assassinations have happened, anti-India riots have happened on the flimsiest of grounds. So yes, we have seen it all. Time to concentrate on the places.
To put it differently, which is the place where you enjoy doing the business the best, or which is the one place where you would have liked to be in the casino industry, which is doing really great and according to you is the best destination?
To an extent and for a period of time, I enjoyed all the countries that I worked in. It was a great experience starting in Sri Lanka. We ran ultimately the best casino. When I sent people out to have a look, we had more customers in our casino than all the other casinos put together. And the reason was that we were the first to start a great customer experience, first to start 24-hour operations, first to start laying out the food and serving complimentary food and drinks in the casino. If you came into the casino in Sri Lanka, you were automatic VIP. And we serve only premium whiskey, not below black label. Also, it was reputed that if you took a cigarette out, you didn't have to light it, somebody would be there to light it for you. That was the kind of experience which people had. So when you create that kind of experience, you would expect everybody to be happy. But not so. The competitors are not happy. And they created problems after problems, and ultimately the president at that time shut us down.
So moving on, you've operated and you continue to operate in India, in Goa. How have you seen the evolution of the casino industry in India from Goa in the 90s to now?
Yes, I was involved in Goa. At this time, I had got out of it. My wife now owns the shares. I have not even been to Goa for the last several years. It's professionally managed. My wife has in fact also not been there by the people who are over there. So back to your first questions, which I would like, what progress I would like, but there is no reason except government policy for any country to have the Mickey Mouse small casinos that are prevalent now It has everything to do with the tax policies and how the government is treated. Government treats it well. They create predictable policies. And what we have is Las Vegas. Or what we have is Macau. What we have then is huge progress, huge employment, huge amount of tourism. However, the government policies continuously are framed on the basis that you have to squeeze out as much money when they are infants, and is based on the policy that gambling is bad. But we don't want to get into dispute on good and bad. But if they think it's bad and it should not be allowed to expand and there should be unreasonable restrictions, then the industry suffers. And unfortunately, in that situation, we will never match up to either the Las Vegas or Macau. There is no reason not to, but the policies in every country that I have worked with have been quite unsuitable for development of casino as a big industry.
So, in India, what would you think is the ideal policy, ideal regulations, ideal licensing that you would like to see in Goa or elsewhere in India?
For me, as a libertarian, as an economist, it's a myth that government regulations are required to protect anybody. Government regulations only create entry barriers. What protects the customers is competition. I've seen when Nepal had an exclusive license, there was zero customer service. No food, no beverage, everything was charged for. Allow competition to come in, and then you need no further protection. I ask you, what protection are you talking about which competition is not going to give you? It is only going to eliminate protection. Let me know what you think. What protections which are not given automatically during competition?
So, are you advocating no licensing regime, no regulations, and no taxes, and allowing everything just carte blanche?
That would be, in fact, ideal. That would create a strong economic development, not only in casino, but in any industry. For example, in India, if reforms were to be carried out, I would just make the currency completely convertible, put no restrictions on trade. It helps us more than any other country that we are dealing with. We have seen example after this example all over the world. In any case, we don't want to go into that, limiting the discussion to gaming. Yes, certainly. What you call free for all is not free for all. It's competition, and in competition, only the best survive. We've seen that in industry after industry. If you limit competition by licensing, by heavy taxation, then the same companies monopolize year after year, because the entry barriers are so huge, and new people who have the vision, who would not want to lead a ossified life of an old company, are given no chance. We don't know, for example, you, Jay, are capable of running a great casino.
No, I'm not.
If there were no restrictions, you could start small and maybe become big. But now with the mega taxes, with the huge government entry barriers in terms of regulations, you will never find out. And we will unfortunately never know what potential lies hidden in you.
I don't think I would be a good casino operator, but in any case, just, I think what you are advocating in terms of no licensing, no regulation, and probably no or minimum taxes is something that we don't foresee happening in the near future. So I would just like to ask you that from a practical point of view, what are the ideal regulatory or licensing regime that is practical, possible in the near future, probably from another jurisdiction that India should adopt?
Well, I agree with you. This is just not going to happen for one reason or the other, which we don't have to go into it. Governments are not going to give up control, whether it's in India or in other countries in the world, where they are going to create entry barriers, and we all know what those entry barriers are for. So going to the next step should be minimal controls and a predictable policy. if you lay out a policy and say that you're not going to change this for the next 20 years, or unless there is some good reason to change it, more than anything else, people want predictability, especially if they're investing for the long term. Now, in a country where the taxes went up from 10 lakhs a casino to 20 crores minimum over a period of a few years, when that kind of jump are there, then predictability goes out of the window. You made your investment thinking that this will be the tax regime, and the tax regime totally changes. You want to put high taxes, then do it in the beginning and keep it like that. Don't destroy predictability. You want to put some regulations, put it from the beginning. Don't be changing policies every year. You're destroying businesses, as we have seen in various countries. And don't limit competition. Create entry barriers which are not going to hamper competition, because that and that alone is the biggest blessing for the customers, but not only for the customers, for the employees as well. If you want to generate employment, the more casinos, the more businesses there are, the better. By creating entry barriers, the government may collect huge taxes, which seem huge, but leave that money with the entrepreneurs. Look at the money which Macau is collecting today. The government. Look at the money which Las Vegas is collecting today. They have a 6 or 7% tax on gaming revenues, and it has remained at that level since the time I first went to Vegas in maybe '89. Even before that, it was the same. Predictability. And that has led to billion-dollar investments. Singapore, they allow only 2 casinos in the whole of Singapore, but predictability. They charge high taxes. Singapore is a rich country, but they give then exclusivity, which I don't support, but at least the Singapore has predictability, and that results in huge investments. I won't go for Singapore type of controls. I won't go for the US type of controls. Because if you institute those controls over here, then you will have no one to even start the casinos. Why is that? Because a rich country can shrug off a level of regulations which would kill the industry in a poor developing country. To give you an example, if we have the same building codes which are there in California, in India, 90% of the people will not have a roof on their heads. Is it better to have a roof over your heads or to live in the open air under the stars? That is the compromise we have to make. Do not copy the regulations. Just make minimal regulations to satisfy the people that you have done some regulations. Keep the taxes at a reasonable level. Why not? You're still going to get the money. I'm talking about gaming taxes and license fees. You're still going to get the money via income tax in any case. The government is still going to get. What's the point of putting huge license fees, creating an entry barrier? What's the point of putting a huge gaming tax? Again, creating an entry barrier, and again, limiting the amount what can be spent on the customer. Competition and having minimal taxes gives you better service, and then the industry expands. The industry expands, you will collect the money via income tax in any case. So that's what I would.
So on taxes, just one more question. There is this group of ministers formed to look into GST on goods and services tax on casino and gaming, and there is this whole discussion on what that should be. So according to you, what's your advice to the GOM or to the government on what the tax or the GST should be on this industry?
On the casino industry, the margin on each bet is exceedingly small. You can't give customer service. You can't say that you're going to take a huge percentage on each bet and then be able to run something. The government has to be realistic about it. Realistic means I would advocate abolishing of GST on the gaming industry, license fees as well, and make money through income tax. This kind of return where you allow people to enter the business is going to generate tourism, it's going to generate employment, it's going to generate customer service, and without that, the casino industry can never be big. Maybe it can't be as big as Las Vegas. Maybe it can't be as big as Macau, but we can be at least 1/5 of their size, of the size of Macau. Right now, I think we don't even count in the international market. Why is that so? If you say the minimum, the casinos for 100 square meters, that's policy, are going to be subjected to such heavy taxation as they are, that's 1,000 square feet. In the US, the casinos are typically of the size of 100,000 square feet. They never started this way. They grew and became like this. Las Vegas has the maximum number of hotels with 5,000 rooms. They didn't start this way. They became like this. So if you want to encourage entrepreneurship, if you want to encourage this industry, that's the way to go. The industry is going to exist no matter what you do. Is it now going to be underground? Or would you like people like me and you to run it, who are professionals, who have educational background? What interested me was the mathematics of gambling. What interested me was the probability behind it. Would you like people like this? Or would you like people whose main job is managing the police and managing the government and running their illegal operation? Gambling is going to run no matter what. Increase the taxes too much, it pushes it underground. How can you compete? If you have to pay minimum 20 crores to run 1,000 square feet casino, then you include the annual recurring fees or the the GST compared to a person who's running a gambling operation in his home and is probably making the right payoffs. He's still going to save a ton of money. This is what leads to corruption. This is not the kind of policies we need.
Coming back to Goa and Sikkim, the two places where casinos are allowed in a licensed manner in India. How have you seen them grow? You obviously talked about it not even being a fraction of the other places across the world where casinos are running. How have you seen them evolve over the last 20 years? And do you see more places opening up in India, more states opening up for casinos in the near future?
I don't like to forecast because government policies I've seen what you expect doesn't happen, what you don't expect happens. I've seen people come to me with saying Kashmir is going to open up, even Mumbai, you were involved in Mumbai where they even passed a law. That was as close as you can get. Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, chief ministers visiting outside countries, meeting me, and I tell them, you decide on the license, and then if you need an operator, then we will talk. How I have seen it evolve, we saw a proliferation and expansion of industry when the taxes were reasonable. And then the government, in all its wisdom, went and increased the taxes by something like 200 times, not 200%, but 200 times. And that was the end of the casino development in Goa. From 10, 12 casinos or something like that, I don't remember now. I've not been associated with it. But now, as far as my information goes, there's only one casino in South Goa. The casinos are extremely limited. They're being brought under by the huge taxes, which has destroyed the possibilities of employment as well. The government makes its money, but nothing compared to what it would make if it had led the industry to develop. Are we 1/5 the size of Macau? That should be the aim. The Chinese economy is 5 times that of India. So we should be 1/5 of Macau. Are we 1/5 of Macau? No. Are we 1/10 of Macau? No. Are we 1/100th of Macau?
Maybe.
Maybe, but probably not even that. Why is that? We have to see what is the cause.
You made fair points, and that is something for the government to think about on how they would like to frame their policies and encourage this business or support this business. Which brings me to my next question, really on what has affected all of us over the last year and a half, which is COVID-19, and that has of course affected the casino business also. Most casinos across the world remain shut for the better part of the last 1 year, I believe, including in India. They are still shut in Goa as we speak. So I just wanted to know, there is this pre-COVID world and post-COVID world, right? So how do you see casinos being, operating in the post-COVID world? Do you see them evolving in some way, moving electronic, moving online? How do you see the casino industry evolving post-COVID? And what was the impact of COVID on the casino industry?
COVID, my heart goes out to all the people who have suffered and died. Having said that, I don't know. I sometimes wonder if lockdown was the right policy. It did take the spread to the hinterlands. But besides that, the biggest cause of low life expectancy is what? What would you think it is? Maximum life expectancy loss is because of poverty. Compare the life expectancy in poor countries with rich countries. The difference is in the level of income. Of course, beyond a certain level, the life expectancy is not going to grow, but we are not at that level. So any policy which results in people being deprived of income is going to lower life expectancy. The correlation between GDP growth and life expectancy, if you take since independence, is clear. Each percentage point of GDP is going to affect life expectancy of around 300,000 people. So are we really going to save lives through lockdowns? Hopefully that part is over now. The government has realized that it doesn't work that well. But shutting down businesses also causes poverty. And do we have the money and the resources to feed the kind of people we need to feed? Or are we going to drive companies, businesses, people to bankruptcy? That is the question. And protection, I mean, it would be easy to issue advisories and say this is what we recommend. If you can maintain physical distancing, please do so. If you can't, then be careful, because this is a problem virus. But I would in the end leave the people to do as they please. If you want to be fully secure, you don't want to move out of your home, perfectly all right. Today's digital world is providing that experience. Unfortunately, we were never in the online space, but like everything which has moved online, I'm not surprised that gambling has moved online as well. And it's far more difficult for government to know what's happening than to have a huge, big casino or a physical operation anywhere. Keeping that in mind, for physical casinos which provide a whole breadth of experience, from your drinks to your stay, from developing tourism, the online gaming just provides addictive gaming. I'm not against online. It's good. It's made what's made life livable. And here, where I am, not in India but abroad, I see that everybody is ordering stuff online. Everybody, like we are on Zoom, is on Zoom. So gambling has also gone online. But the circumstances have changed for physical casinos. Now, if the government doesn't relent and keeps the taxes as high as they are, we're not going to see too much development in the physical gaming space. Perhaps we will see a reduction.
Spoke about online gaming. Do you think that is going to be the future in the post-COVID world? People are just hooked to their mobile phones and would be playing in mobile phones. And do you think casinos should evolve and offer a sort of hybrid model, offering both online and physical experience, how do you think that's going to play out, the online gaming?
Yes, there will be a place for the physical casinos. People desire that experience, they desire to be social animals. Nowhere in the evolution history were we addicted or we had electronic devices, and men and women are not going to feel that happy to be online always. Yeah. Hybrid model. Why do we need hybrid models? If you are specializing in something, this is the age of specialization. If you're specializing in physical casinos, you should be able to do that. If you're in the online space, you should be able to do that. Look at how Amazon started. It started with just selling books online. Yes, many book companies went out of business, but now there are bookshops because many people like my wife want to go to a physical bookshop and they want only physical books. I am comfortable doing it online. So there is a space for both. Things continuously evolve, and that's where the casino industry should be. Again, in my philosophy, there should be no stopping of online. It should be allowed. Its time has come, it should be allowed. However, please understand that the physical stores, physical gaming places, physical bookshops are now facing this headwind as well. So keep your taxes reasonable. Don't increase taxes and regulation to the extent that this industry is destroyed. Gaming online will not give you as much employment. That is no reason to ban online. Let online flourish as well. But along with that, keep the physical experience as well. And that's where all the employment generation will take place.
Fair enough. So you are saying let online and offline coexist, keep the taxes and regulations reasonable and fair. And that's the only way for the industry to grow. We take that point, and that's all we have time for in this episode. Thank you very much, Mr. Wadhwa, for your time. It was a pleasure having you. And if you like this episode, do press the bell icon and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also subscribe to our social media handles given in the description of the video. Thank you all. We'll be back next week with another episode of Game On.
Thank you, Jay.